This is the first time that I'm speaking about it. Something that I'll never forget, actually.
A former assistant to Sean Diddy Combs speaking out in a new interview with new allegations about wild parties and use.
Imagine this. One of Hollywood's most beloved stars, a man who once charmed audiences with his wit, humor, and action-packed roles, now finds himself at the center of a swirling storm of controversy. Yes, we're talking about Will Smith, the guy who slapped his way into Oscars infamy just a couple of years ago. But this is something else entirely. The whispers are growing louder, the speculation more intense. Could it really be true? Is the FBI gearing up to arrest the Fresh Prince himself? What could possibly have gone so wrong for one of the entertainment industry's biggest icons?
It was my man, this is probably irreparable.
Let's back up for a second. This isn't just about a bad night at an awards show or a rocky marriage making headlines. This is about allegations that could redefine the way the world sees Will Smith forever. If recent chatter is to be believed, federal investigators have been quietly gathering evidence for months, maybe even years, against the actor. And according to insiders, it's not looking good for him. One source claims the FBI has compiled a treasure trove of evidence, emails, phone records, and even witness testimonies that could implicate him in activities far darker than anyone could have imagined. And yet, the man himself has reportedly refused to cooperate with authorities, a move that some say has only fueled the government's determination to bring him in. And how has Will been reacting to all of this? Well, if you believe the rumors, he's been busy. Some say he's been offloading properties, selling prime real estate as though he's bracing for impact. A sprawling mansion here, a vacation home there. Could these be signs that he's preparing for a long legal battle or perhaps even something worse? And then there's a legal team he's allegedly assembling, a veritable dream team of high-powered attorneys known for representing the rich and famous in their darkest hours. It's almost as if he knows what's coming, even if he won't admit it publicly.
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me.
Oh my goodness.
If you could film me.
Astaire, come help us again, please. I'm still dealing with foolishness.
But what could possibly connect Will Smith, a man whose biggest scandal used to be a slap heard around the world, to such serious allegations? The answer, it seems, lies with another man whose name has recently dominated the headlines, Sean Diddy Combs. Yes, the same Diddy who's been under intense scrutiny for his so-called parties. These weren't your typical A-list soirees with champagne and small talk. Oh no, according to multiple lawsuits and shocking indictments, these gatherings, known as freak-offs, were something far more sinister.
And I know you said he explained all of the items that were involved in these Wild King nights. Did he mention who would participate as well?
A lot of them were unknown to him. He did mention that a lot of the women were very, very young as 20, not underage, but certainly young women.
Now, here's where things get really interesting. For years, Diddy's parties were whispered about in Hollywood as the place where anything could happen. These events were described as elaborate affairs meticulously planned down to the finest detail. Travel arrangements were made, accommodations booked, and certain necessities provided. The guest lists, star-studded of course, with names so big they could make anyone's jaw drop. And among the many names now being linked to these parties is none other than Will Smith. Photos have resurfaced, showing Will and Diddy laughing together at various events over the years. While a picture doesn't prove anything, it's enough to make people wonder, how deep does this connection go? Did Will attend these infamous gatherings? And if so, what exactly did he witness or participate in? For his part, Will has vehemently denied any involvement. Just recently, during a rare public appearance, he addressed the swirling rumors head-on, telling an audience that he had nothing to do with Puffy and had never been near the kinds of activities people were accusing him of. He even joked, "I don't even like baby oil," referencing one of the more bizarre details allegedly linked to these parties. But not everyone is buying his denial.
A lot of times you would have him with a younger female, and there's a power dynamic there. A more impressionable girl is easier to reel in. Consent is between the people that are engaging, and I wasn't there in these situations to understand the consent.
Let's talk about those parties for a moment because they're central to understanding the gravity of what's happening here. According to federal prosecutors, Diddy's events were not just wild parties. They were carefully orchestrated productions involving shocking levels of misconduct. Witnesses have described scenes that sound more like fever dreams than reality, with everything from bizarre rituals to acts many would label as outright disturbing. And here's the kicker. Investigators reportedly found mountains of evidence during raids on Diddy's properties earlier this year, including what they're calling party supplies. The list includes things you'd expect at a rowdy event, lighting equipment, linens, but also items that raised eyebrows, like cases upon cases of lubricants and substances meant to lower inhibitions.
Did Phil explain why he's speaking out now?
He said he's speaking out because he believes Diddy's a predator. He wants accountability, and he doesn't want someone like this to run unchecked in the future.
So where does Will Smith fit into all of this? That's the million-dollar question. Some reports suggest that authorities are looking into whether he was a regular attendee at these events, and if so, what his role might have been. Did he turn a blind eye to what was happening, or worse, was he an active participant? The FBI hasn't confirmed anything publicly, but the fact that Will's name keeps coming up in connection with Diddy's legal troubles is enough to make anyone wonder. And if you think this is just about parties, think again. The allegations against Diddy go far beyond anything Hollywood has ever seen. He's facing charges that could put him away for the rest of his life. Prosecutors allege that he ran a criminal operation so elaborate it would make a mob boss blush. And now, as more people come forward with their own stories, the ripple effect is spreading. Names that were once untouchable in the entertainment world are now being dragged into the mud, and Will Smith is one of the biggest among them.
So that's where Diddy has been for months now, but last week he was taken to the hospital. According to reports from the New York Post, Diddy was transported from MDC in the cover of darkness at about 10 p.m. on January 30th. He was taken to a Brooklyn hospital for an MRI after reporting issues with his knee.
The most chilling part: the horrors reportedly witnessed at these gatherings are now being described in lawsuits and testimonies. Multiple attendees have claimed they were coerced into doing things they never would have agreed to under normal circumstances. And while Diddy's legal team insists everything was consensual, the sheer number of accusations suggests otherwise. For Will Smith, the question isn't just whether he was there, it's whether he knew what was happening and did nothing about it. Diddy's arrest in September 2024 was a watershed moment, but it was only the beginning. Since then, the fallout has been massive. His associates are being questioned, his property scrutinized, and his reputation dismantled piece by piece. And now, with Will Smith's name being dragged into this mess, the stakes have never been higher. Could the Fresh Prince himself be facing charges? Some experts think it's only a matter of time. After all, where there's smoke, there's usually fire.
We have some major breaking news. Sean Diddy Combs has just filed a $100 million defamation lawsuit against NBC Universal for the making of Diddy, the making of a Bad Boy documentary.
But here's the twist. For every person who believes Will is guilty, there's another who thinks he's being unfairly targeted. Could this all be a case of guilt by association? Is Will simply a convenient scapegoat for a scandal that's spiraling out of control? Or is there more to the story, something that hasn't yet come to light? As the days go by, the speculation only grows, and the truth seems harder and harder to pin down. What's certain is that this is far from over. The FBI is playing its cards close to the chest, but insiders say they're building a case so airtight that no amount of star power will be able to save Will if he's involved. And with Diddy's trial set for next year, the clock is ticking. Will Smith might be denying everything now, but if the investigators have their way, he could soon find himself facing questions he'd rather avoid, and the world will be watching.
It's a situation that I consider private.
You just feel like it ain't really nobody's business. But now Black Twitter has claimed it.
But let's not forget, while Will Smith's name might be caught up in the whirlwind of Diddy's legal chaos, there's another storm brewing closer to home, one that's been years in the making. Will and Jada Pinkett Smith's relationship has been under a microscope for decades, but now, amid all the speculation, it seems like their personal lives are unraveling in ways no one could have predicted. Could the pressure of public scrutiny combined with these explosive legal allegations finally be too much for Hollywood's most unconventional couple? Let's dive into the complicated and tangled web of the Smiths' marriage and why some believe the cracks are wider than ever.
You and I were going through a very difficult time.
Yeah.
And we decided...
I was done with your ass.
Yeah, you kicked me to the curb.
I was done with you.
When it comes to Will and Jada, their relationship has always been a topic of fascination. And let's be honest, confusion. For years, rumors of an open marriage swirled around the couple, fueled by hints and cryptic comments from both of them. Back in 2013, Jada famously said in an interview, "Will is his own man. I'm here as his partner, but he is his own man." The statement raised eyebrows, with many interpreting it as confirmation that the two had some kind of unconventional arrangement. And then, to add fuel to the fire, Jada clarified her comments on social media, stating, "Will and I both can do whatever we want because we trust each other to do so. This does not mean we have an open relationship. This does not mean we have a grown one." Now, let's pause here. What does that even mean? A grown relationship? For years, fans and critics alike have speculated about what's really going on behind closed doors, but the Smiths have always been masters of keeping the public guessing. Until recently, that is, in the last few years, their marriage has been thrust into the spotlight in ways that make it nearly impossible for them to keep up the facade. And it all started with that now infamous entanglement. You remember it, Jada's Red Table Talk bombshell in 2020. Sitting across from Will, she admitted to having a relationship with musician August Alsina while she and Will were separated amicably. But it wasn't just the admission itself that rocked the internet. She called it an entanglement, a term so vague yet so specific that it immediately became a meanie. Will, visibly uncomfortable, went along with the conversation, but his expression, one that many described as painfully aware of the cameras, said it all. The couple tried to spin the episode as an example of their honesty and commitment to working through challenges, but for many, it only highlighted the cracks in their foundation.
Well, Jada Pinkett Smith drops a bombshell. Apparently, she and her husband, Will Smith, haven't been together for 7 years.
Fast forward to today, and the entanglement feels almost tame compared to the latest rumors surrounding their relationship. With Will's name now tied to Diddy's controversies, some are questioning whether Jada's own past behavior might come back to haunt her. After all, the couple's so-called grown relationship has always been a two-way street. Could it be that Jada, like Will, has skeletons in her closet that are about to be exposed? And if so, what does that mean for their already fragile marriage? One thing's for sure, the timing couldn't be worse. In October 2023, Jada dropped yet another bombshell during her book tour for her memoir, Worthy. In a candid interview, she revealed that she and Will had actually been living completely separate lives since 2016. Let that sink in. For 7 years, while presenting themselves as a united front to the world, they were essentially no longer together in any meaningful way. Jada admitted that they were exhausted with trying to make it work and had decided to part ways emotionally, though not legally. The revelation left fans reeling. If they weren't a real couple anymore, what was the point of all the public declarations of love and partnership?
There are so many surprising things in the book, but the thing that surprised me the most.
And here's where things get even messier. Some insiders claim that the decision to live separately wasn't mutual. According to these sources, Will was desperate to keep the marriage alive, while Jada was the one pushing for distance. Others suggest that the separation was a strategic move, allowing both of them to live their lives freely while avoiding the public backlash that might come with an official divorce. Whatever the truth is, it's clear that their relationship has been hanging by a thread for years. And now, with Will's potential legal troubles looming, the thread is starting to snap. But what about Jada's own controversies? She's no stranger to scandal either. Beyond the entanglement, there have been whispers about her behavior at Hollywood events and allegations that she's had her own share of questionable associations. Some have even speculated that she's attended gatherings similar to those Diddy is now infamous for hosting. While there's no concrete evidence to support these claims, the rumors alone have been enough to raise eyebrows, especially given the timing. Could it be that Jada's actions are part of the reason Will finds himself in such a precarious position? Or is she simply guilty by association, just as some argue Will is in the Diddy saga?
In regards to how do we present that to people, you know?
What's undeniable is that the Smiths' personal lives are more entangled than ever, pun intended. And now, with whispers of an impending divorce growing louder, many are wondering if this is finally the end of the road for the couple who once seemed unshakable. According to some reports, Jada has been quietly meeting with divorce attorneys, exploring her options as Will's legal troubles deepen. If true, this would mark the ultimate collapse of their carefully curated image as Hollywood's ultimate power couple. And let's not forget the impact this has on their children, Jaden and Willow, who have already grown up under the intense glare of the spotlight. Jaden, in particular, has made headlines for his unconventional behavior and cryptic comments about his family. In a recent interview, he even admitted that his mother introduced the family to the idea of using alternative methods for personal growth, a revelation that only added fuel to the fire surrounding the Smiths' unorthodox lifestyle. Could Jaden's comments be a reflection of the broader dysfunction within the family? Or are they just another example of the Smiths' tendency to blur the line between public and private life?
I think we were both kind of still stuck in our fantasy of what we thought the other person should be.
Then there's the question of legacy. Will Smith has spent decades building a career that's almost unparalleled in its success and versatility. From his days as the Fresh Prince to becoming one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood, he's always been seen as a symbol of hard work and charisma. But now, with his name tied to allegations that could forever tarnish his reputation, what happens to that legacy? And what about Jada, who has often been portrayed as the strong, independent force behind the scenes? If the marriage ends, does her own image crumble along with it? At the heart of it all is a question that's impossible to ignore. How much of what we've been told about Will and Jada's relationship is real, and how much is just smoke and mirrors? For years, they've presented themselves as a modern progressive couple, unafraid to challenge traditional norms. But as more details emerge, it's starting to look like their so-called partnership may have been more of a performance than a reality. And if that's the case, what does it say about the lengths celebrities will go to maintain their public personas, even at the expense of their private lives?
I made a promise that there will never be a reason for us to get a divorce. We will work through whatever.
As we wait to see how this all unfolds, one thing is clear. The Smiths are at a crossroads. With Will facing potential legal action, Jada grappling with her own controversies, and their marriage seemingly on its last legs, the world is watching. Will they weather the storm together, or will this be the final chapter in their complicated love story? And perhaps, most intriguingly, what other secrets have yet to come to light? The answers may not come anytime soon, but one thing's for sure. This is a saga that's far from over. So, what do you think? Is this the beginning of the end for Will and Jada? Are they victims of circumstance? Or is there more to their story than meets the eye? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, stay tuned for more updates. You won't want to miss what happens next.